Welcome back to the program. Demonstrators in Bangui, the capital of the Central African Republic, have placed at least 9 corpses in front of the UN's mission following recent clashes. On Sunday, UN peacekeepers began an operation to disarm vigilantes in a mainly Muslim neighborhood of the city. One peacekeeper was killed and several others were wounded on Tuesday. Aid workers also say they've treated dozens of people with gunshot wounds. The CAR has been unstable for the past 5 years after rebels ousted the then-President Francois Bozize.
Hundreds of angry demonstrators laid the bodies of at least 16 people killed in clashes in Central African Republic's capital in front of the mission headquarters of the United Nations. UN peacekeepers and local security forces have battled armed groups in Bangui's PK5 neighborhood, a Muslim enclave of the majority Christian city, since Sunday, aiming to dismantle their bases there. One Rwandan peacekeeper was killed and 8 others were wounded in fighting on Tuesday. The demonstrator blames US soldiers for firing on residents who were protesting against the operation in PK5. We don't understand anything anymore. Is this mission about shooting at civilians? Or is it another kind of mission? We want an explanation, and that's why we are here. We brought the bodies to speak to the national and international audience so they can see what happened and explain. MINUSCA officials were not immediately available to comment on the accusations that peacekeepers were responsible for the deaths. But the group had earlier warned the vigilantes to give up their arms.
Because of these groups, for several months now, and to the point at which neither the government nor the MINUSCA can accept, we demand that these groups lay down their arms now, to let go of the youths who themselves want to leave these armed groups. And if this does not happen, we, the government and the MINUSCA, will take the necessary measures.
The surge in violence coincides with a visit by Jean-Pierre Lacroix, the UN's head of peacekeeping operations, to the country that has been marred in a cycle of ethnic and religious violence since 2013. Violence increased in Central African Republic after mainly Muslim Seleka rebels ousted President Francois Bozize in 2013, provoking retaliation killings by anti-Balaka armed groups, drawn largely from Christian communities.
The International Committee of the Red Cross says civilians caught up in the conflict in South Sudan have continued to face atrocities and unrelenting attacks. South Sudan has been racked by an ethnically charged civil war since late 2013, pitting forces loyal to President Salva Kiir against rebels linked to former Vice President Riek Machar.
Nia Lowell and her husband are among 44 patients who were evacuated earlier this year to the ICRC field hospital in Ganiliel, South Sudan, for treatment. They were injured in gunfire when fighting intensified around their village in February. Nia Lowell's leg was amputated as a result of the injuries she sustained. She lost her son during the attack.
Our lives are difficult, very tough, because we're in a state of violence.
My wife was shot. My children were shot. One of my sons died instantly, and I was also shot. We've all become very vulnerable.
Attacks have also been directed at humanitarian workers, complicating delivery of relief services on which hundreds of thousands of the displaced depend. Some 28 aid workers were killed in the country last year, with 9 shot dead in November alone, and that's according to the United Nations report.
There was a big fight pretty far from here, so all the patients have to be flown in to here. They arrived in a hospital there, and we could go there, select the worst case patients to come here first. What you see a lot is the bullet wounds, big injuries, mostly in the legs. So most of the wounds, before they get treated, they were already infected. They're getting dirty, so we have to do a lot of debridement to clean the wounds, heal the fractures.
Thousands of people are estimated to have died in the conflict, which began after President Salva Kiir, an ethnic Dinka, fired his deputy Riek Machar, an ethnic Nuer, in 2013. The United States and other developed countries have been stepping up pressure on South Sudan to end the war, which erupted less than 2 years after the country declared independence from Sudan. Whether the country would yield to the clarion call for peace, only time will tell.
8 Cameroonian athletes have gone missing from their accommodation at the Commonwealth Games in Australia. Cameroonian press attaché Simon Malombe says officials view this as desertion, and the missing athletes have been reported to Australian police. The 3 weightlifters and 5 boxers were last seen at different times on Monday and Tuesday. The group has valid Australian visas until May the 15th. Meanwhile, the Australian government has warned athletes against overstaying their visas. The Commonwealth Games Federation also says it will monitor the situation, but athletes have the right to travel freely on their visas. In 2012, 7 Cameroonian athletes disappeared while in London for the Olympics. And still talking sports, Egyptian cyclist Mohamed Nufal has begun his journey to the 2018 World Cup on his bicycle. From Egypt to Russia, he says he wants to support his country's national team in their first World Cup appearance in 28 years.
"24-year-old Mohamed Nufal kisses his mother goodbye in Egypt as he sets off for the World Cup in Russia on his bicycle. After about 3,000 miles and 65 days on the road, Nufal says he hopes to reach Moscow to see Egypt make its first appearance in the World Cup after 28 years. Nufal plans to get there via Jordan, Bulgaria, Romania and Ukraine. He will fly over Syria due to the civil war there and will also give Iraq a miss for security reasons.
To Nuweiba, which is the last stop for me in Egypt, and from there I will take a ferry to Aqaba in Jordan. I will then continue on a bike from Aqaba to Amman. I will take a flight from Amman to get past Syria due to the security conditions over there. The plane will land in the city of Sofia, Bulgaria. I will start cycling again towards Moscow, where I will pass through Romania, Moldova, Ukraine, ending in Russia. The trip will be around 5,000 kilometers.
On his bike, Nufal has packed spare parts, an extra phone, batteries and camping gear. In addition to his tent, Nufal will put up in hostels where he can find them, as well as relying on the kindness of strangers for a bed for the night.
Through this trip, I hope that people get to see new things. I will talk about countries that we Egyptians know very little about. We pay very little attention to Arab and Eastern European countries. I see it as a very good chance to know more about these countries. We would know more about the people and their traditions. It is about the road more than the arrival. If it were just about the World Cup, I will take a plane. It's a great chance for me to see new things and show them to the people.
A group of cyclists and friends escorted Nufal as he started his trip, and he hopes many more will offer him help along the way. After clinching its World Cup spot in October, Egypt will compete on football's ultimate stage for the first time since 1990.
Well, let's all wish Nufal a safe journey to Russia. But that's where we end today's program. Thank you for watching. I am Bisi Adebayo.